People often rely on these funds for survival, making any risk of their cutoff or delay existential. All right, this is serious. Five former Treasury secretaries, spanning across multiple presidential administrations, all came together to write a piece to say explicitly that Elon Musk is a threat to democracy and that Donald Trump is allowing Elon Musk to engage in a hostile takeover of key government institutions. This reads, five former Treasury secretaries. Our democracy is under siege. And let's waste no time breaking this down and then breaking down Elon Musk's childish response, where he calls out Larry Summers, one of the former Treasury secretaries that helped write this. It was written by Larry Summers, Robert Rubin, Geithner, Liu, and then Yellen. So five recent Treasury secretaries, and it's quite haunting. It says, when we had the honor of being sworn in as the 70th, 71st, 75th, 76th, 78th secretaries of the Treasury, we took an oath to support and defend the United States Constitution. Our roles were multifaceted. We sought to develop sound policy to advance the president's agenda and represent the economic interests of the United States on the world stage. But in doing that, we recognize that our most fundamental responsibility was the faithful execution of the laws and Constitution of the United States. And they're getting somewhere. They're getting somewhere with this. We were fortunate that during our 10 years in office, no effort was made to unlawfully undermine the nation's financial commitments. Regrettably, recent reporting gives substantial cause for concern that such efforts are underway today. And here's where it gets serious. The nation's payment system has historically been operated by a very small group of nonpartisan career civil servants. In recent days, that norm has been upended, and the roles of these nonpartisan officials have been compromised by political actors from the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. One has been appointed Fiscal Assistant Secretary, a post that for the prior 8 decades has been reserved exclusively for civil servants to ensure impartiality and public confidence in the handling and payment of federal funds. And just to take a pause and add some analysis, Elon Musk keeps engaging in this incredibly transparent tactic of undermining an institution, creating pure conspiracy theories about it, and then using those conspiracy theories to justify stripping that agency or nuking that agency entirely. A really good example is today we learned that Donald Trump is trying to completely eradicate the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And this is important because this press release from the White House shows you the playbook of Elon Musk and Donald Trump perfectly. They create a boogeyman and they try to tear down any institution that works to protect regular people from corporate abuse. They say that it's wasteful and woke, and then they use those attacks to dismantle the institution. Just read this post about the CFPB, which was created to help protect people against predatory deals. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the brainchild of Elizabeth Warren, has long functioned as another woke, weaponized arm of the bureaucracy that leverages its power against certain industries and individuals disfavored by so-called elites. They talk about Soros here. They say it's used to support radical advocacy groups. One such group is the Soros-backed Mississippi Center for Justice that advocates for racial and economic justice. I mean, they're hitting all of the talking points here. Woke, Soros, racial justice, all of the things they hate. Threaten banks for refusing to lend to illegal immigrants. You make up conspiracy theories about the CFPB, about Social Security, about the Treasury Department, and then you use those conspiracies to undermine that very department. Let's return to the writing from our five former Treasury secretaries. They say, these political actors, the ones appointed by Musk, have not been subject to the same rigorous ethics rules as civil servants, and one has explicitly retained his role in a private company, creating at best the appearance of financial conflicts of interest. There's a reason why there are training mechanisms, vetting mechanisms, security clearances that you have to get before you bring your lackeys in. They lack training, they write, and experience to handle private personal data like social security numbers and bank account information. Their power subjects America's payment system and the highly sensitive data within it to the risk of exposure, potentially to our adversaries, and our critical infrastructure is at risk of failure if the code that underwrites it is not handled with due care. This is why a federal judge this past weekend blocked at least temporarily, these individuals from the Treasury's payments systems, noting the risk of irreparable harm. And remember, Elon Musk is now floating the idea, along with JD Vance, of defying that court order entirely. Just ignoring that court order and continuing to access certain institutions, that is when we enter a constitutional crisis. Elon Musk today was floating the idea of going into the Social Security database and deleting certain Social Security numbers. He is trying to strip away Social Security, and there are lawsuits trying to block him. And guess what he's saying to justify stripping Social Security? He's saying that they're finding waste within it. It goes back to this. You create a boogeyman so that you can tear it down. Midas Touch, in response to the CFPB being stripped away, says, how does this improve your life? How does this improve your life at all? There are a few questions. Number one, has the Trump administration improved your life or worried you? And number two, do you feel safe in Trump's America? Do you feel safe flying or traveling? Okay, the 5 Treasury secretaries continue. A key component of the rule of law is the executive branch's commitment to respect Congress's power of the purse. The legislative branch has the sole authority to pass laws that determine where and how federal dollars are spent. While significant data privacy, cybersecurity, and national security threats are gravely concerning, the constitutional issues are perhaps even more alarming. We take the extraordinary step of writing this piece because we are alarmed about the risks of arbitrary and capricious political control of federal payments, which would be unlawful and corrosive to our democracy. The key component of the rule of law is the executive branch's commitment to respect Congress's power of the purse. The legislative branch has the sole authority to pass laws that determine where and how federal dollars should be spent. The role of the Treasury Department and of the executive branch more broadly is not to make determinations about which promises of federal funding made by Congress it will keep and which it will not. As Justice Brett Kavanaugh of the Supreme Court previously wrote, a justice appointed by Trump, remember, quote, even the president does not have unilateral authority to refuse to spend the funds. Chief Justice John Roberts agrees. He wrote that, quote, no area seems more clearly the province of Congress than the power of the purse. So we will see if this makes it up to the Supreme Court, if these two, Kavanaugh and Roberts, will stay true to their word. The Treasury secretaries continue. During our collective 18 years at the helm of the Treasury, we never were asked to stop congressionally appropriated funds from being paid out in full. And by the way, if you've made it this far, make sure you drop a like. Comment some blue hearts. We're going to continue reading, but to help boost this video, to help bring awareness to Elon Musk and his takeover of the government, make sure you're dropping a like and watching until the end. I will double down on this Elon Musk coverage. The Trump admin, they continue, may seek to change the law and alter what spending Congress appropriates, as administrations before it have done as well. And should the law change, it will be the role of the executive branch to execute those changes. But it is not for the Treasury Department or the administration to decide which of our congressionally approved commitments to fulfill and which to cast aside. No Treasury Secretary in his first few weeks in the office should be put in the position where it's necessary to reassure the nation and the world of the integrity of our payment system or our commitment to make good on our financial obligations. Secretary Scott Bessent has had to do just that, and we were comforted to see the agency commit to Congress that any recent access to the Treasury payment systems, quote, is not resulting in the suspension or rejection of any payment instructions submitted. When he has been asked repeatedly if the Treasury has tried to block payments, he said, we have not. They say we hope this commitment stands, and it ends off in a powerful way. People often rely on these funds for survival, making any risk of their cutoff or delay existential. But even more than the importance of making goods on particular commitments is the importance of making good on the principles that this country stands for. And remember, there is a pattern for doing stuff like this in the past. It's not a new playbook to try to unilaterally dismantle institutions. It's been used by oligarchs, by autocrats in the past. Even Richard Nixon, back in the 70s, tried to unilaterally defund congressionally approved programs, and Congress had to challenge it, and the Supreme Court ruled against him. In Russia, Putin did the exact same thing. He systematically stripped power from government agencies that were meant to check his authority, and then he put his own loyalists in place. In Hungary, Viktor Orban has done the same thing, and Trump always talks about how much he looks up to Viktor Orban. So allowing Elon Musk and Donald Trump to do this without any sort of pushback is where we start to hit the tipping point. And if Elon Musk and JD Vance defy this court order, then we are in a constitutional crisis, and we will continue to cover this relentlessly. All that I ask from you guys is share this video, drop a like, subscribe, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.